This is Recruitment Agency Ignition with Andy Whitehead. Helping you build your recruitment employment business fast. Using digital and automation and one-to-many systems, tools, and inbound strategies.
Now, what's interesting here, for those of you already above the 500K a year mark or have broken through 7 figures, you know yourself, one of two things happens at this point. We're either going to multiply, because now we've got processes we can replicate, our roles changing the business, or you might have chosen to go into a new niche. And so I imagine what's happened for you in that new niche, not for every single member, but most of you know when you come to me and say, Andy, I'm going to a new niche, I've done my first 7-figure year, I usually try and push you away. And what will happen is we've got this drop-off happen in the existing business, business 1, and business 2. We're really struggling to get even through the foundation phase. It's the Chinese proverb, catching 2 rabbits. We know what happens there. So with Hazel, what I'm really excited about is Hazel's gone through the foundation phase, but here's the rub. She's done things very, very simply. Hazel's got a lifestyle business. That's Hazel's words. And we're going to go through Hazel's story now. But what I want you to really grasp on this is one key factor, and it's this. It's simplicity. It is simplicity. Again, that isn't a glib statement. It's about doing the same things over and over again until they work, and then we can replicate them. It's not about being the best in a dozen new strategies. It's about doing a handful of things very, very well. So when you listen to Hazel, I want you to take that. If you're doing less than 500K now, I want you to take the adage of, right, in my business now, how many different activities, strategies, tactics am I running right now? If you did, quote, a did it sheet, at the end of each day, you listed everything that you've done, what does that day look like in terms of activities? As opposed to the member who's looking at 1, 2, 3 strategies, max, and then just tweaking them. So when you take the view of simplicity, now if you are already in the quote the scale area in the Nitro group, for example, a lesson that we're going to pick up, although Hazel's not there yet, but again, if I look at what Hazel's done here, if we look at 55K before Hazel joined us, so 55K in those 6 months before she joined us, 1, 2, 3 in those 6 months, she's got this going on. Now, what do you think will happen in the next 6 months if Hazel follows the curve and actually accelerates? What's going to happen in the next 6 months is this. We're going to get into accelerate, then multiply. So that 1, 2, 3, I wouldn't be surprised at all, and it's not a pressure point here, Hazel, but if we take your 12 months, the first 12 months being with us, you did 1, 2, 3 in the first 6 months, when it's the toughest 6 months by far, I'd expect that 1, 2, 3 in the next 6 months, again, not to put pressure on you, but somewhere between 50% plus. I know that you're in the events market, we're talking about seasons shortly, but I expect this to be very, very healthy in the second 6 months. Okay? So when you look at that across the year, that's going to be around about 350 for a year. Now, when you joined us, you were doing 55. Now, if you look at that as an actual ratio, 55 to 350, we've 7x the business. Now, but the key lesson is this, and the reason I'm starting off with this, normally with a hot seat, we jump in straight to the story, is that before Christmas, when I put the videos inside Nitro and Ignition, it's about taking a step back and thinking, right, I'm in this business most of you might be in it for the next 5 years plus. But at the very least, let's take a view that our year consists of 3 120-day sprints, and then each 120-day sprint breaks down into 4 30-day sprints, and each one's got a different outcome. So Hazel, it's not putting pressure on you, but one thing that I love about these hot seats is that we can make it accountable. Members get inspired, but also we can follow through your journey. And it puts our kahunas on the line with you, Hazel and Peter, but also we can put a plan in place, which we're going to do at the back end of this call to ensure that happens. So the reason why I want to start with these models, and by the way, if you're listening on MP3 and you haven't been inside the members area and watched the video, I recommend you do. So these models you can see on the screen here, this is where you are now, Hazel. You're here. You've done very well. But now we're at the point of, do we coast or do we accelerate? Now, I know you're not going to coast, but again, if we look at these actual numbers, and these are real numbers, at the end of your 12 months with us, Hazel, and I'll say it again, just to make this black and white, that adds up to close to 350. So that's 7x your business in 12 months. So the reason we got Hazel and Peter on, if you're at the point of you're already doing 500K or over the 7 figures, the insight I want you to take from this is around this process of planning out a year. Planning out a year. So that if you're under 250, 500, it's simplicity, doing a handful of things properly. There's 2 things we want to do: improve conversion, then scale. If you're already doing over 500K plus, the insight I want you to take from Hazel and Peter, and they're being almost like Buddha-like fast forward, future pacing this, but what I want you to take from what they've done and what they're about to go through is this cycle of, we're in this for X amount of years. If I focus just 1 year and I actually take it seriously, so every 120 days are going to be different. What we did in the first third of the year, those activities and strategies, I will not be doing hands-on in the second. Those we do in the second third of the year, I will not be doing hands-on in the third. So this insight is around planning the year into our 3 times 120-day sprints, and then also breaking those down into 4 times 30-day. Now, Hazel, you're not there yet, but what's interesting, from what you need from me on this call, in the second half of this call, you're referencing some drivers so your business can grow, which we'll come to. So you're thinking about, whether you know you're doing this consciously or subconsciously, you're breaking down your business into phases, which I love. So whether you're, again, you're under 250, keyword, simplicity, handful of strategies. If you're over 500, it's about breaking your year down into those three windows. And again, if you've not watched the videos inside the Facebook group, watch them. If you've not watched the business plan we did before Christmas, and number 2, the Inner Circle Warrior System, you must watch those. One thing you'll be getting in the next week or so is a comprehensive audit whereby every single strategy, we're asking you what you've done. Is it complete? And there's some metrics around this. So when we have someone say, I need something new, great. Hazel's managed to make this growth in 2.5x in the first 6 months with a handful of strategies. Do you really need something new, or do we need to be strategic? So off my high horse, but I want to pre-frame this. That's why Hazel's on the call now. I know some of you have done epic stuff, and I can't wait to do all these hot seats with you. But there's a couple of really key stories, insights for you. Now, for those of you who've not been on a hot seat before, a hot seat's whereby we interview one of our members and they share their story. So we might have a hot seat with someone who's working with CEOs and they're getting 200K placement. We might have a hot seat with someone who has gone from 300K to 600K and working part-time. Might have a hot seat with someone who's used webinars to double their business, whatever it might be. So on a hot seat, if I was watching this hot seat inside the group, if, say, for example, we did 20 hot seats a year, and you're watching members and seeing their actual implementation steps, listening to their lessons, what would they do more of? What would they do less of? If you listen to their story, you consume it. We've got the strategies and tactics, the frameworks, the templates, the processes, the workbooks, the videos, the webinars, the live, everything inside the group. This is about actually seeing it happen in the real world. So what I recommend you do is this, is as you go through, you fill out this document, the Hot Seat Maximizer, in one of the following manners. One is the top sheet, the frustration, the fix. What's the frustration for Hazel? Candidates. The fix, what does she do? What were the implementation steps? Or it could be, if you think about your business in a different way, what is the high-level strategy that we're walking through? What's the insight that I'm taking from this? What are the actions I can apply in my business? Okay, so 2 things here, okay? 2 things. Number 1, we've set a window of 4 months, correct? And we're now beginning of January. So let's not do this. Let's not say we can't start this process. We'll really hit it until we got our CAS, okay? Let's remove that obstacle. Now, the reason why is the niche you're in is quite antiquated. When we're not up against tech giants who've got something together. So
That's
listen,
right.
first and foremost, what we need to know is this: how many clients do you need, and how many appointments for Hazel will that be? So what's that number?
We would ideally we'd need 100 candidates, but we could probably
clients.
Yeah, clients. But we could actually, if we had 50 active clients, that would be enough.
Okay,
that'd be more than enough to bring in these figures.
Good. So Hazel, from your side, I don't know how you guys do it. You speak to people cold, etc. Whatever it might be, it makes me want to shrivel up. However, let's imagine whether it be double R, whatever the process is going to be. From your side, Hazel, what needs to happen from a client side for you to get 50 active clients in the next 4 months?
Peter's going to have to run some campaigns. He's going to have to run CAS for me.
So here's the thing: the CAS isn't yet complete. However,
no.
What would happen if, for example, so let me give you a complete flip side. So we have a member who gets over 6 figures per placement, okay? So
right.
Really good business. So the reason why I'm saying it is really labour home the point that it's, let's not procrastinate. I'm not saying you are, but I want to remove the internal obstacle, okay? Would it be better if our CAS is done? Yep. Would it be better if you were number 1 on iTunes? Yep. Would it be better if you had a Maven webinar running? Yep. You haven't. But let's focus on getting paid, okay? So those are going to follow. So let's focus on, all we need to do is go from 5 to 8 a month. So for you to get these clients, let's not create an internal brick wall right now. These things will come, okay? And the CAS hopefully will come in the next month or so, and that'll be good. However, say for example, Hazel, you had 50 replies in your inbox saying, tell me more, or who are you, etc. Would you pick up the phone at that point?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many of those calls would if you had 100 of those, how many would you reckon would turn into business?
If they've got a job vacant,
yep.
If it's something, I would think it'd be pretty high.
Good. Good.
Yeah, 40, about 50 perhaps.
Good. So let's do this then. Let's do this. Let's break down this next 120 days into the following. Now, where I'm going to say you've got 0 authority, but I don't mean from your world, as in CAS, etc. Then we've got, let's say we've got CAS, so we've got let's say some, and then we might move into where we've got, if we get into, for example, maybe a webinar or whatever else, but let's keep it nice and simple for now. So this would be ideal, but again, let's not cause a constraint. So let's focus on this. If we can get you, say, there's 5,000 clients. There's 5,000 clients. The open rate is 70%, awesome. Reply rate 35. So if we've got 1,000, we've got 350 replies. Yep. And those 350 replies in there, there's going to be some who are going to be worthy of a call, correct?
Yes.
What would make it worthy for a call in terms of that reply for you?
Because they'd probably say that we're looking for somebody, they had a vacancy.
Okay, good. So what we need to do then is, let's do this. Let's run double R against the client side, okay? And let's focus on this outcome. All we're looking to do is to be quite direct with them, because in your market, no one else will be approaching them in the way you are. If you do the automated follow-up and the other bits and pieces that are happening, no one else will be doing it in your market. Let's use double R and LinkedIn as we are right now, but also know this: there may be a little bit of pain for you, Hazel, in the next 120 days, okay? Because things aren't perfect, but I don't want to wait until your CAS is done, etc., etc. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yep. So then, all we need to do, really, by the looks of it, first of all, is we need to mirror what you're doing from the candidate side on the client side. So we got an invitation, and we've got a follow-up, and in your follow-up message, will be something based around the authority. So you can say this: you are the only UK events search or recruit, whatever word you want to use, business who has a whatever you want to call your system, okay, etc. Now, if you've got an acceptance rate of 60 out of 70 right now, and let's be pessimistic and say it's 40 out of 70 each day, that's going to be 200 per week. That's going to be 800 per month, etc. This isn't going to be too difficult for you to get those conversations going. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's perfectly clear.
So operationally then, it might be your VA becomes full-time. 4 hours candidates, 4 hours clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
Yeah,
does that make sense?
a very good idea.
Yeah. So what we want to have is in parallel, the client side and the candidate side. But again, we're doing nothing magic here. All we're doing is basic stuff. But with Peter being in control of the metrics, what's going to be important is this. The outcome is you getting paid. Okay? Is you getting paid.
Yeah.
So to get paid, you deliver the candidate. Now that we're okay with, the candidates you're cool with. So what we're really focused on is the lead and the conversion conversation. So Peter, the two metrics I want you to be sharing with us, and make a note of this, Tracy also. The two metrics I want you to keep on top of is this: the number of leads you get, i.e. the inbound responses. Okay, number one, whether it be LinkedIn or it be RRR. Number two, the conversion conversations. So if Hazel says to us, Andy, I've had 15 conversations and I've got no clients, right, we've got a problem. I don't think it's going to happen, Hazel. I really don't. However, what we want to do is we want to get the constraint identified and fixed quickly. So what that means is if you can get your VA to go permanent or full-time like now, and we get this moving like now, it would be good if you could come back, say, in a max of 2 weeks and say, I've had 10 conversations, this has happened. Now, I think you're going to come back with good news. However, if for whatever reason we've got not good news, let's fix it early in this 120-day cycle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
Yeah.
So that's going to be I think it's two operational changes. One's going to be this VA going permanent or full time for you from the client side, and two is we're going to have the ABA actually involved. But also, what this is going to mean, guys, your business essentially is going to be trebling, quadrupling. What you must get is also just not going to take this. What's going to happen, guys, is your time. Just to be frank, there'll be your other businesses and what you're doing with the rest of your life. There will be a decision point at some point. Either you bring in a project manager, or you make a decision on, well, we're doing 400k, or there will be a decision point. But if you follow the curve you're currently on, Peter, which I think you will continue, if you keep on top of metrics, there will be a decision point pretty soon. Because although those hours you're doing in the morning, that won't be the same if you're doing obviously 500,000.
No, that's right. Yes.
Does that make sense? So
it does.
So you got a few points to consider around what's happening, but again, keep it the theme, keep it simple. VA, we're going to double up and move up onto the client side. Both LinkedIn, RRR. Number two, Peter's going to keep completely on top of the metrics. So if it isn't converting, you might be 7-8 iterations in again. Hopefully, it's not so many. But then the third point is the conversion call. So what we've spoken about so far today with you as candidates is the actual online metrics. However, for you to get paid, Hazel needs to convert. So if Hazel speaks to 10 people and then it's not converting, by the way, Hazel, there are modules on that. There's the CAS conversion call, which might be relevant at this point, that will help. But we want to get those metrics early. We don't want to get into, say, middle of Feb and we find out that the client side is not converting. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
Yes, definitely.
Cool. So I think for now, it is that simple. But it sounds simple from a strategic point of view. But what's going to happen, though, is the main thing, Peter, is going to be your role, first of all. This 1 hour per day, 1.5, that's one. Then, Hazel, your role is going to be, I'm speaking to these top-end candidates, and I'm speaking to clients. Now, can my AVA, because she speaks to top-end candidates now, that might be a first solution in this next period. But your role is going to start to double up now from the client side and the candidate side. So you need to preempt that, because we know what happens when we get into stress and overwhelm. We underperform and we make rash decisions. But I'd maybe, if I was you, if the candidate side is working, it sounds like it is, I'd maybe make a decision today and say, do you know what? Let's get our AVA trained up and let's have her speak to the top end candidates, because if we are going to get to this, say 500k, I can't do both. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And from the client side, by the sounds of it, I think you'll be golden. But because some of these would be cold, what I would do is I would, as a resource, go to the CAS conversion call. Your CAS isn't complete. However, what you can do on the call is say that with power, we're the only UK company to have da-da-da-da and go through the CAS conversion call, okay? And if you use that as a framework, I think that will help you convert, okay?
Yep.
Is that cool?
That sounds good. Yeah, that sounds great.
So what we've not done here, guys, spoke about authority and things that we want to be doing. However, once we get through this next 90, 120 days, then it must follow. But this next phase now is, given that you work part-time, this next phase now is about getting the operations
I agree.
on point, not getting into overwhelm, knowing that every month you're going to look at your bank and go, shit, we spent X on VAs, shit. But also, look at what's coming in. Just be aware of that, okay? You have to reinvest some of this revenues coming in, and then also knowing about where we're moving from, a business perspective, because the niches you've referenced, they can come, guys, but this next figure you want to get, this revenue figure, it looks like this is inside this niche. We don't need to be going elsewhere. This is completely cool. And the good thing is, if you can get this now converted in this sub niche in London, then it can be replicated in other areas. But it could well be, and I wouldn't be surprised if your magic number is in London, to be frank.
Yeah.
But I don't think. Well, in fact, I know right now we are not going to go into these other areas, because I think that there's big revenue in what we're doing right now. Is that cool?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I've done an awful lot of talking there. So let me do this. What, Peter, Hazel, what's going through your mind right now, or what's the biggest insight, or what questions have you got? Indeed, everyone else on the call also.
I think it's the fact that you're saying that really we can develop on some of the information that we already have. We actually just deepen into what we're already doing.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's very insightful, rather than going off at perhaps different tangents.
If you told me different metrics, Hazel, and just for everyone else on the call, if your metrics were different, i.e. they were a lot smaller for the niche you described, then it would be a different decision. But based on the metrics you've shared, yeah, all day long, and given your conversion figures, both online and indeed actual conversation-wise, we don't need to be going anywhere. There's no travel needed.
Great. Oh, that's perfect.
Cool.
Yep.
Peter.
Yep.
From your side, questions, insights?
I think very similar to what Hazel was saying, really. It's quite a relief to think that we can, we're now going to focus entirely on London. That makes it a lot simpler. And also focus on RRR, because if we can replicate what we did on the candidate side with the clients, then I think that'll be great. The good news is I think our CAS will be ready in 2 weeks. So we've already kicked off our client RRR, and it is going well. We've got, in fact, Hazel had, 198 responses today, and over the weekend today and yesterday.
So here we go. So that's epic, by the way. You got 200 replies. Love that, and really, really do. However, the end game is you sit there and look at your bank account, and you sit there working part-time still, and you're happy. So what that 200 replies mean, we don't know yet. So what we really need to know is, what's the end game? And that is key. We had a member many years, 3-4 years ago, a lovely lady. And unbeknown to me, she couldn't speak to people. As in, I come on a call, she's great, but she couldn't speak to clients. And she had all these leads coming in, and nothing's going on with it. Now, Hazel, no, that's not you. However, we need to know those 200 leads mean what. So let's say you speak to 10%, 20%. We don't know yet. So what it means. So let's see what that means. It could be that you've got all you need there. Who knows? However, we don't know yet. So let's focus on, to get paid, you need the role, you need it signed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Very much so. Awesome.
Well, listen, Peter, Hazel, you've been very, very generous with your time. I'm glad we got the tech gremlin sorted out, because I got so excited at the beginning, and then you went. It was like, what did I say? But it's just been absolutely epic. So everyone on the call now, any final questions, insights, thanks, love, let me know in the chat box. For those who've asked about the templates, there's been quite a few of you. They are going to be, I think Tracy's posted the templates inside the Facebook groups. There you go. So they're all there, guys. So they've asked about templates. The company's Oxygen People, for those who've asked. And Listen, let me do this. Any questions you've got we've not answered, do this. Underneath the templates, which Tracy has posted, please tag in Peter and Hazel and ask the question. I want to be respectful of time, but Peter, Hazel, let's do this. One thing that I would love to do with these hot seats now is the following. I want to make it accountable. So if you're up for this, we'll get it scheduled in. And along the way, we're going to be there to support you and make this happen. But if we get you scheduled in, so we do a hot seat in, say, 90 days to 120 days, so we can see, has it happened or not? And, that means there's a bit of pressure on us. But what's going to get you there is the opposite of that. So, again, let's get the operational side of it sorted, because I think that's key, given the hours that you're both working. But the overall, absolutely buzzing, and so happy that you've kept it really simple, and it's joyful, and it's joyful because you just kept it so easy. You kept it so easy, and when we do meet you, Peter, I think you've both got cocktails and drinks coming, so we look forward to that in London.
Yes.
Hey, so we've got lots of love for you. In fact, here we go. Mike Tannenbaum, the gentleman I want you to connect with, Peter. Mike said, unreal performance on a part-time schedule. Yeah, so Mike T's the man. So you two hook up. Mike's absolute gent.
Yeah. Certainly will do.
Donnie's saying you're both studs in capitals. So there you go.
Interesting. I thought that was amazing.
There you go. Well, guys, listen, thank you so much for taking the time. We know we've gone 15 minutes over, but again, let's make this next 120 days now move into it's just taking operationally to one more level, and now the client side, I think it's going to be pretty simple. But if it isn't for any reason, you shout. Cool?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Certainly will.
Yeah, thanks,
Awesome.
Andy.
Thanks.
Take care, guys. Appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Cheers now.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Discover how to build your recruitment employment agency using one-to-many automation and inbound strategies before anyone else in your market specialization. Check out recruitmentmarketinginternational.com.